Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Steve, and thank you for leading us in with some sweet music and my favorite nigun. Sometimes I think we could just do that nigun and, just let the energy carry us and not worry so much about the words. Yeah. And on this spiritual Shabbat, the spiritual Saturday, I want to really focus on words, the promise and the problem with words. But we got to start with a basic word, and that's Shabbat, Sabbath. It's really an original contribution of the Hebrew people, the Israelites, later called Jews and Judaism. Just this remarkable notion that time itself can be sanctified, that we get so entangled, so embroiled in all the details of our lives and all the challenges and all the quests, all the yearnings, all the satisfactions and all the dissatisfactions. Oh, all the workings of the mind, all the workings of the body, all the workings of feelings. Just trying to understand, trying to live as best we can. And Shabbat is offered as a time of letting go of the need for anything to be other than it is. Radical. Tradition has it that no work is allowed, but the real work is trying to make things different. And the way toward true productive evolution, true productive positive change, is to begin with Shabbat, a consciousness, an awareness of just being, of living into the moment in such a full and unhampered way, of just going, okay, here I am, here we are. Shabbat awareness, whether it happens on a Saturday or it happens on a Tuesday, whenever it happens, is a consciousness of taking a breath, letting it go, and allowing ourselves to just be, to stop doing, to stop trying, to stop focusing on what we have or what we don't have, to stop even trying to change our minds or change anything about us or change even anything about our world, and just go, here I am. And I want to open to the absolute perfection that is behind, that is within, that is beyond. I want to remember that which is truly essential, that which is truly enduring. And it's called Shabbat. So I invite all of you who are joining us. And I also do want to invite you, to add a chat, like just to say hello, kind of lets us know that you're here. And it's just good to be able to hold that consciousness of connection. And inviting all of us, wherever we are, to open in song. Ma yafeh hayom, how beautiful the day. Shabbat shalom, how beautiful the day. Shabbat shalom. And it is. It is. Right now, right here, there is incredible beauty, incredible wonder, incredible awe. Taking a breath and just letting it go. Wherever we are, wherever you are. Whatever the mind is doing, let it do. Whatever the body's doing, let it do. Whatever the feelings arising, let them arise. And behind all that is a deep yesness that's called Shabbat. A deep embrace that's called Shabbat. A deep allowing that's called Shabbat. A deep celebration of creation that's called Shabbat. Maya Fe Hayom, how beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom.
Maya Vehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Vehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Vehayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Vehayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful the day. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Vehayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Vehayom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. You know, just remembering that Shalom means more than just a greeting. We're not actually simply saying, hi, Shabbat. Shalom means peace, but the root is completeness and wholeness. Shabbat Shalom is an awakening to the absolute wholeness, the completeness that is the consciousness called Shabbat, that is the vibration called Shabbat. So welcome. Welcome to this morning of paradox upon paradox. In some ways, I love paradox. But I want to talk about words. I want to talk about the promise of words and the problem with words. And the only way I can talk about it is with words. And that's already a problem, because I'm using the very vehicle that I want to kind of look at critically to consider looking at them critically. The problem with words, just said simply, is that they're so powerful. I don't think many of us recognize how powerful our words are. What our words actually do. Our words chop up our reality. Words define. Words take things apart and allow us to consider the parts, and in so doing, automatically steer us away from the absolute interconnectedness of all being, the absolute oneness of all being. Words separate. Separate this from that, separate up from down, separate here from there, separate me from you. Just the words themselves. We chop up the world to make it understandable. We chop up the world to give ourselves the sense of that we know it. We chop up the world to make it knowable. And in so many ways, we chop up the world to make it controllable. Because our words give us a sense of control over that which we name. Anytime we name something, we can operate on it. We can use it as an object of attention, an object of talking, an object of experience. And ultimately, our words lead us to what may be an illusion of control. Words are creative. The old magician's abracadabra is testimony to that abracadabra is a kind of modern way of saying avracadabra, which is Aramaic, I create according to the word. I create with my words. I create with my words. I name something, and in naming it, it comes into being. Whether it comes into being in the imagination or whether it comes into being as something sensed or something felt. My language is creative. And my language is particularly creative when I utilize the name of God. And the name of God is a way we use language more than any other way. And this is critical because the name of God, as awakening through Moses, through the story of Moses at the burning bush, is Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, I am as I am. I am. The name of God is I amness. And each and every one of us uses that name so often. We start sentences with I am this, I am that, I am not this, I am not that. And we rarely consider the fact that when we do so, we are employing the most powerful energy of language to create that which we are identifying with. I am tired, I am happy, I am sad. Each and every attribution begun with the words I am defines, limits, makes knowable, and in some way controls the nature of our experience. We are vehicles for carrying the name of God into material expression. And this is the promise of language and the problem with language. Because words can support peace, words can support attunement, words can support possibility, words can support potentiality, positively or negatively. Words can lie. We live at a time when we are witnessing the consequences of words lying, words being used to obfuscate, to confuse, to separate, to distance, to confuse. And words are powerful because each and every one of us, particularly on our ego level, our separate identity, the level in which we experience the world alone. We strive to understand, we strive for power, we strive for some kind of security. We strive to know who's right and who's wrong, who's on our side, who's not on our side. And so we follow words. And our media presents to us pretty much the words that we ask it to present. The liberal media presents words for which, with which, those of more liberal persuasions find satisfying, find clear, find obvious. The more conservative media present words that those who open to those beliefs find equally obvious, equally supportive, equally bringing some sense of security to their identity and their world. We used to say that sticks and stones can break our bones, but words can never hurt us. And the more aware I become of the power of words, the more I question that, because it's often easier to heal the bruises that come from at least some physical violence than it is to heal words that have been internalized, words that create incredible self-doubt, incredible self-judgment, incredible self-despair. Sometimes words with which we might be attacked, words with which speak are being misunderstood or misinterpreted, can burrow their way so deeply into our consciousness, so deeply into the part of us that is already insecure, already needy, that we wind up living those critical words into our world, into our lives. And forgetting that, wait, those were just words. Those were just words. And there's a consequence of defining ourselves through words, and any words. Because to the extent I define myself through words, I open myself to the potential impact of both positive and negative words, both supportive and unsupportive words, both constructive and destructive words, both healing and hurting words. It is essential to begin understanding consciously the power of words, the potential of our words to mislead us concerning the very nature of the reality we live in and the reality we are. When we utilize our words more consciously, we use them when appropriate to deal with the specifics of the material world, the specifics we need to maneuver ourselves in this world. And we begin to release their hold on us when describing the nature of our being, when describing the larger nature of the reality in which we find ourselves, when eclipsing the radical inclusivity of all being. We call into question consciously the way words separate, fragment, polarize our experience in the world. and start taking the way we use our words more consciously, with greater awareness, and with greater care. We need words. We can't live on this level without them. We need to be able to communicate with each other with our words and with far more than our words. And we need to utilize our words more consciously than ever before. Steve brings a song called I Don't Know Why. It's about love, and he'll talk about it.
Yeah, thanks, Rabbi Ted. One of my favorite singer-songwriters is a gal named Shawn Colvin. And I think her mom lives on Vashon, but she's an Austin, Texas person, and has won Grammys and all those sorts of things. And I don't know Shawn. I love her music, but I've listened to her for a long time and read a book that she wrote about her career. And she lived in New York for a lot of her formative music years. And she was struggling, I think, with depression and feeling isolated, and some things that I think are common throughout time, and certainly in this chapter for many. So she wrote this song called I Don't Know Why. And I just learned the story of this, I think, in the last year or two, even though it came out probably 15 years ago or more. What she wrote it for was she wanted to use words and music as a love song to herself when she was having a difficult time. And when you listen to this, it sounds like she's singing to somebody else, but when you realize she's writing these words and singing these words to herself, it certainly takes on a meaning that I think we can all embrace. It's called I Don't Know Why. I don't know why the sky is so blue. I don't know why I'm so in love with you. And if there were no music, then I would not get through. I don't know why I know these things, but I do. I don't know why somewhere dreams come true. I don't know where, but there'll be a place for you. Every time you look that way, I'd lay down my life for you. I don't know why I know these things, but I do. I don't know why some will make you cry. I don't know how, but I will get you by. I will try. They're not trying to cause you pain. They're just afraid of loving you. I don't know why I know these things, but I do. I don't know why the trees grow so tall. I don't know why. I don't know anything at all. And if there were no music, then I would not get through. I don't know why I know these things, but I do. I don't know why I know these things, but I do.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's like sounds of a soul waking up.
Yeah.
And sometimes that awakening comes at very challenging, very difficult times. It's something I believe about the times we are now in. It's something I believe about being in the midst of a crisis of virus, economy, environment, racism, politicalization, polarization. If we needed evidence that it's time for a deeper awakening, the universe is certainly encouraging us to focus on what's essential, what's truly important. And what's truly important actually awakens on the other side of words. Yet we are confined in so many ways to utilizing words to struggle, strive, to point toward that which is beyond word, to point to that which is behind word, to point to that which is before word, before the definition, before the making finite of infinity, before the making particular of the universal, before the splitting up of that which is always connected, always unitive, before it's splitting into component parts, often component parts that are rubbing against each other, struggling against each other, dividing through our words a presence that is so often lost behind the words. And it leads me to look for a moment at the word God. I often share how difficult I find that word. Because no matter how I try, it conjures up something external. It conjures up some sense of a big somebody. One of the remarkable things about Jewish tradition is that in a world that focused on idolatry, namely a world that expressed the consciousness of needing to see and to touch a representation sometimes often confused with the reality of a greater energy, of a fuller being. In the midst of that world, awakened an evolutionary consciousness of absolute interconnection. But that absolute interconnection, well, it couldn't be represented by a statue, a picture, or even a person. Every statue, every image, every person was a part, an aspect, an expression of that one, that unity, that shared being. It was very difficult for most then, and often still, to understand that the word God doesn't point to a person, like a person in some place called heaven, a person watching us, judging us, punishing us, or rewarding us. But that word points to a unity. That word points to a universality behind and before the word itself. In biblical terms, when that reality is expressed from the inside out, it's called I am. That I am is not outside. Well, there is no outside. We awaken to the absolute inclusivity of all consciousness, of all presence, of all being within each and every one of us. That gets eclipsed by the identity that words create. And the identity created and maintained by words is our separate self. Our separate self, which we need just like we need the words, but we confuse the words with the reality, and we confuse our separate self with the nature of our true identity. And in so doing, we become sick. I'm convinced that our world has been expressing for us the evidence of a disease called ego sickness. A disease called reflected as our stuckness, our tenacious clinging to this separate, divisive, fragile, vulnerable, frightened, needy, incomplete identity. Trying to get that identity to strengthen itself through doing better, through having more, through proving itself, and discovering time and time again that actually it can't do that, because that's not its function, that's not its ability. But rather than recognizing that and opening to what is behind it, opening to the consciousness within each and every one of us that actually created that identity to meet the circumstances of our world, we simply collapse into it. Its holds are so powerful and so powerfully defended and supported by culture, by conditioning, by habit. Without it, the consumerist culture of which we are a part would shift. Without it, the disparity of our economic condition would balance, because it would just be so clear that none of us need to have billions of dollars. And with those many billions, those who are hunger insecure and those who are starving, those who are housing insecure and those who are homeless could be housed. Those who are health insecure or without health care could be adequately cared for. The disparities which we live in are really a consequence of our collapse into our separate identities, our ego sickness. God, this invisible presence, this all-pervasive being, this unitive awareness, this shared life. The consciousness, God consciousness, is meant to be restorative and curative for the diseases of the ego. From the inside out, the name of God is I am. A greater problem comes with looking at God from the outside in, because there really is no outside. It's all an inside job, and the inside and the outside are one. So in some senses, the outside is an illusion projected out onto the world through words, through the separateness of our ego distress. So what tradition did, at a certain point, awakening clearly to the danger of trying to name God from the outside, was take the sacred name and no longer pronounce it. Every time one met it, to replace it with a whole other word. It's called the Tetragrammaton. You know the Hebrew letters Yod He Vav He. For those of you who have some awareness of Hebrew, I am as I am is Aleph He Yod He. And that's first person. It's a first person inclusive of the verb to be. It is an absolutely inclusive I am. It is an absolute universal I. It's the universe opening its eye. And the Yod He Vav He, the letters that were used to express talking about God from the outside, well, that's another form of the verb to be that best would be translated what is. What is. God is what is. Isness. But because it was cast as a name, and you'd say this name, it was too easy to think that's just another name, as if there is a natural projection of an ego identity out onto the universe. The universe's name is such and such, as opposed to a name someone else may give it. There is no other name than isness. There really is no other name than life. So instead of trying to pronounce those four letters, we say Adonai, which is a whole other word. It means Lord, Master. And it's inadequate in terms of expressing the fullness of the sacred name. But it prevents us from lapsing into the belief supported by word that we can talk about God from the outside in. Trying to express that reality from the outside leads us into idolatry. And idolatry is a natural consequence of ego consciousness. It's a natural consequence of ego sickness. It's a natural consequence of our identification with our separate self, with only our separate self. It's a natural consequence of forgetting the one we are. And so we yearn to have some image or some likeness or some person that we then can touch or use as a stepping stone, as an intermediary, as a way of believing we understand something that that we have the image, or we have the person, or we have the teacher, or we have the way. Idolatry is lapsing into the belief that words describe the fullness of reality. Idolatry is the belief that we have something that others don't have, that our God is bigger than your God, that our way is better than your way, that you have to believe this way. If you believe this way, you're good. If you don't believe this way, you're evil. And in the name of such beliefs, we human beings have created continual havoc, continual destruction. Sometimes I think it's really a matter of moving beyond the words and finding a secret. It's one of the reasons why one of my favorite songs is a song that Doris Day made popular. And I like a version by Freddie Fender. It's called Secret Love. It's called Secret Love, and it attracts me because there's a love. There's a love that needs to awaken through us, because love itself is a way. Love is a way of an invisible presence. Love is a way that of the invisibility made visible in the entirety of creation. Love is one of those words with which we have the very most difficulty. The song is called Secret Love. Once I had a secret love.
Yeah. Once I had a secret love that lived within the heart of me. All too soon, my secret love became impatient to be free. And so I told a friendly star the way that dreamers often do, just how wonderful you are, why I'm so in love with you. Now I shouted from the highest hill, even told the golden daffodil. That's my heart's an open door. My secret love's no secret anymore. Now I shouted from the highest hills, I even told the golden daffodil. At last, my heart's an open door, and my secret love's no secret. My secret love's no secret. My secret love's no secret anymore. Anymore. Anymore.
you know, much of the time that song, you know, people imagine that song is talking about awakening to a love of a person. And certainly it can function that way. But I see that love, that song, kind of awakening to a deeper, I mean, what kind of love would one sing to a daffodil? And how do you sing a love song to a daffodil other than opening to loving the daffodil, you know, opening to that energy of love, to universe, to whatever presents itself, whether what presents itself as person or plant or animal, and just shouting, expressing love. But it's such a problem because nowhere, I believe, is word more complicated and more confusing than dealing with the word love. Incidentally, for those of you who noticed this time that Steve Mason, whom I am grateful, is adding his own lyrics and his interpretation of the songs to our spiritual Saturdays. I've been asking that he remain on screen with me much more of the time this spiritual Saturday, because I find it's kind of reassuring for me to be talking to somebody. And I've just noticed during these months of speaking to the little dot at the top of my laptop screen that it really helps me to have a sense that there's somebody here. And I just want to say to those of you who are watching, I really appreciate your being here, and I appreciate those of you who are, you know, just saying hello and announcing your presence on the chat, you know, the live comment screen on this presentation and on this particular technology.
Rabbi Ted, I'm glad you explained the whole me being next to you in this, because, you know, people could assume my management company came in with a contract. You never know what could happen, right?
It's true. And but it's still the case that you are tasked with trying not to fall asleep during my talking. And I really appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
The difficulty with the word love is often disparity between the verbalization and the vibration. Because we get ourselves, each other, and our world so in trouble when a word replaces the reality that it seems to express or seems to announce or seems to carry or seems to represent. We limit reality through materialization. We limit reality through objectification. We limit reality when we strive for control. And with the word love, we experience the challenge of telling the difference between a verbalization and a vibrational reality. I have a memory as a child of times when my mother, God bless her, would be upset by my behavior. And I'm sure she was right to be upset. And sometimes being actively upset and expressing that upset, and at the same time talking about, I love you. And I remember feeling somehow jarred by experiencing a conflict between the word and the energy. I knew what it felt like to be loved, and I knew what it felt like to have somebody angry at me. And those didn't feel the same. And I am often aware of people defaulting, and certainly I've been prone to do it in my life as well, to utilizing the word love to really express affection, express connection, express caring, but to also express limitation, to express something that exists as a condition. I love you when you fulfill the conditions that bring me to experience love. I love you when you say the things I want to hear, when you do the things I want to experience, when you act the way I feel comfortable with you acting. And I think it's important to know all that is okay, but it's confusing. Because when that is all that we experience as love, love lives in the land of words. Love lives in the land actually of conditionality and of separation. And I think that eclipses in dangerous ways the reality of vibration, the reality of a universal love, an unconditional love. Love becomes an idol that's worshipped in some kind of objectification, an objectification of form, an objectification of dress, an objectification of action, an objectification of language. And in that objectification, love actually becomes profaned. Love is bigger. And when we limit it through materialization, we inhibit our capacity to awaken to the fullness of who we are. Because the fullness we are is itself love. But it's not a love that's determined by conditions. It's a love that we always are. It's who we really are behind our separation, behind the creature of words called our separate self. And that love expansively holds it all. Stepping into the world and allowing the love we are to meet the world, to meet ourselves, our bodies, our individuality, to meet the other, to meet everything, to meet the daffodil, allowing that vibration to walk its way, to touch its way into our world, brings the healing that we are so desperate to know. I'm absolutely convinced that even at a time when specific action is obviously needed, no significant change in our world, no significant change in ourselves, no significant evolution can endure without our awakening, without our stepping into the world from the love we are, the yesness we are, the wholeness we are, because that embrace, where we are the loved and we are the lover, we are the embraced and we are the embracer, we are the holder and we are the one held. That's how healing finds us, personally, communally, globally. One of my favorite songs is Love is the Way. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. I was tempted to change the word God to just one. Love is the way to one. But I changed it in the following lines. And because we're focusing on words, it really led me to look at what this song had been saying. It used to say, listen to the word of love within, but love is bigger than a word. Love is a reality. And it always awakens within each and every one of us. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. We already are the healing we need. Our task is to get out of the way. Our task is to appreciate the power of our words, the power of words to heal or to obfuscate, to heal or confuse. Words have a function, but before words, everything is one. Love is the way to God.
Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love, love,
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I'm going to ask the same thing that Marion just asked in the chant, and I'm going to ask that the words be put up so that we could be on the screen with the words. Great. The words. It's nice sometimes to have the words be bigger than us, both to remind us of, that which is always greater than this individual face, this individual presence, this individual identity, and allow us to look together. I want to look at the word love in Hebrew. One of the strange things about Hebrew, both Hebrew and Sanskrit are sacred languages, somehow capturing vibrations and energies that are themselves leading beyond language. And biblical Hebrew, like the Sanskrit of the Vedas, kind of functions with a more inclusive grammar, a more inclusive worldview. And as language is modernized, they kind of started agreeing with each other. So it became easier to translate from one to the other. And it's really a challenge to translate biblical Hebrew or Vedic Sanskrit because the language itself is pointing beyond itself. On the left side of the slide where it talks about, it's the first line of the prayer, the text that comes after the Shema. Usually in that spot on our spiritual Saturday slides is the Shema, listen, talking about awakening to the absolute oneness. These are the words that immediately follow that call to listen, to hear, one, the one we are. We are the one manifesting as the many. And as the one manifesting as the many, all there is one of us. All there is one. And then it says, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. Then you can love the eternal presence awakening within you with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your moreness. I can't do a whole biblical Hebrew teaching, but I just want to suggest that it's usually translated, and you shall love. But it's very clear that this love is something we are when we awaken to oneness. When we hear, when we listen to the word of one and step into that inclusivity, that life, that presence, we are love. And the love we are is so far beyond any love flowing solely from the separate self, from the ego self, as delightful as that is, at least when shared honestly, when shared congruently. As wonderful as that love is, the unconditional love allows us to know that which is truly essential. And what is truly essential is the being, the presence we are. The one awakening through each one of us, yearning to be expressed, yearning to find a way through the shell of our verbal identity, through the shell of our belief in separateness, so that love can express in our world. It is our function as human persons. It is our responsibility as human beings. So when the translation is, and you shall love, it can't be a commandment. You can't command love. So many commentators say, no, love is a natural state of the soul. When we awaken to one, love is. But still, there's a problem with the language for me, because it seems to make the eternal presence an object of love. And the eternal presence, the one being, the one presence, is never an object. It's eternal subject. And the Hebrew particle et, you see, v'ahavta et Adonai, then you can love the eternal. The et is primarily used as a sign of a direct object, actor toward an object, doing something to something. But et is a remarkable particle that is a combination of the very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet and the very last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's like alpha and omega in Greek alphabet, the aleph and the tav. And there are places in the Hebrew Bible where et is not used as a sign of a direct object. It's used to translate as with. With. It is connection. It is a deeper kind of connection than the connection between subject and object. It's a connection between subject and subject. It's a condition as subject. And so although it's unusual, and it's unusual to translate it this way in English, I believe what the verse is actually saying is, then you can love with the eternal presence. Then we can love, then we love with, and then we love as the eternal presence. That is the deepest nature of our being. That's the deepest nature of your being. That's the deepest nature of my being. The one looking at you, or the one looking at Steve through my eyes, and the one looking at me through his eyes is the same one. We look at each other through the mask of our persona, of our personality, of our separate ego. But the one looking, that's one. It's not my one and your one. It's our one. It's not my presence and your presence. It's our shared presence. It's not my being and your being. It's a single being. We are that love, yearning to express. The Hebrew word for love is ahava. Ahava. V'ahavta is a form of that verb. Then you can love. Ahava is the word itself, the noun, love. Ahava. I love that. Ahava. What kind of word is that? That's a chant word. That's a breath word. That's a word that reaches beyond itself. And one of the things I'm so impressed with is that in Sanskrit, love, bliss is called ananda. Ananda. Holy languages of this planet, each stemming from a shared being. Looking at the knowing, the being, the expression of that unconditional love is ah, 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 ah. va, ananda, ahava. So I invite you now, perhaps in a setting far more comfortable than a sanctuary can ever be, to honor the space you're in as your sanctuary. And to know that truly there is a sanctuary that we share, that we are sharing at this very moment, and that is a sanctuary of presence, a sanctuary of life, a sanctuary of being. So please take a breath. If you feel comfortable, let your eyes close. And behind anything I might say, hold ah, ha, va. Ah, ha, va. Allow it to awaken as a vibration. Allow it to awaken as a word expressing that which is so far greater than itself. Allow it to awaken and walk its way into every cell and every level of your being. An opening to a universal vibration of ah, ha, va, ah, ha, va. Allowing the ah vibration to gently repeat so that any sensation that you become aware of in your body is simply met with ah, ha, va. Any thought that arises in the mind, any judgment, any idea, any memory is simply met with ah, ha, va. And any feeling awakening in your heart. Simply and fully met with ah, ha, va. Ah, ha, va. And allow the vibration of that sound to carry you behind, before, beneath, above the word, to the before word reality, to the before limited awareness, to the before particularized consciousness. Hearing ah, ha, va, knowing ah, ha, va, celebrating Ah, ha, va. Expressing. Ah, ha, va. Allowing every cell of the body to express, to know, to celebrate. Ah, ha, va. Appreciating that your true body is this universe. And allowing your true body to know, ah, ha, va. And to allow the vibration to embrace all aspects of your being. The inside and the outside. The now and the then. Ah, ha, va. The vibration is a gift to ourselves, our world, our planet. Ah, ha, va. Ah, ha, va. Because ahava is the way. Ahava is the one. Ahava is who we are. This love is the way of one. This love is the way to God. As you take a gentle breath, listen again to the song.
Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Open to the love of one within. Open to the love of one within your heart.
Thank you, Steve. I so appreciate your presence.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love doing this with you.
Thank you.
And I love sharing with each and every one of you. I appreciate those of you who have kind of let us know you're here on the chat. I also want to mention that we're able to do this because of your support. And you'll see on screen the secret code with which to direct any donations you make to Unity in Lynnwood to support the Spiritual Saturday program. And we truly appreciate your presence. We truly appreciate your support. And just as I share when we are together in person, this could not happen without you. Our connection, whether it's in this form or in a more embodied form, well, the connection is the same. The presence we share is the same. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, for your willingness to share this time together. And I invite you to take Ahava as a mantra. And allow that vibration to help you open to the Ahava you are. That Ahava, love vibration, can meet the world through you, as together we journey from strength to strength, from love to love, and from life to life. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Blessings to you all, blessings to us all. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Cameron, for hosting us and allowing us to be seen and allowing us to be heard. We appreciate you greatly.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Bye-bye.